To our donors and to all of our friends at LBC Capital, I want to extend a socially distant but very warm hello, as well as saying thank you. Thank you for praying for us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for your words of encouragement in the midst of these challenging times. This past Thursday, I joined college presidents from all over Lancaster County on a Zoom call. We were talking about the state of higher education in our neck of the woods. And these presidents are a delightful group. Each is intent on serving their institutions and especially their students. And listening to their stories, one thing was obvious, and that is this: the virus has significantly impacted every institution. And the impact is felt in reduced hours for employees, furloughs and layoffs, limited operational funds, and lower enrollment projections for the fall. Now, when I think about them, I think about us because we're facing some of the same challenges they are. However, as I think about our challenges, I also think of the words of Adoniram Judson, missionary to India. When presented with overwhelming hardships, Judson said, the prospects are as bright as the promises of God. And what I'm seeing at LBC Capital is that spirit of trust in the Lord and His Word, and it just runs throughout our school. I couldn't be more proud of our faculty and staff, the way that they have diligently poured into the lives of our students. And I couldn't be more proud of our students. Thursday, I had a Zoom interview with Connor Doyle, one of those students. Connor is a sophomore at LBC Capital, studying from his home in Washington State. And Connor was so eager to learn, and he asked me such great questions. I had a wonderful time talking with him. And then after that, Shannon and I joined a leadership class led by two of our professors with a group of their students. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time, just a rich time. And in both of these instances, coupled with constant opportunities to meet with different members of our faculty, board of trustees, friends of Capital, it makes me so glad to be here, even in the midst of tough days like these. The Lord, He's showing me what an amazing group of people He has assembled. And of course, at this point, I'd really hope to meet many of you face to face, perhaps at a concert on our campus or a First Friday evening at the Trust Performing Arts Center. But COVID-19's changed circumstances for all of us. I was talking with one of our sons. He is a Chick-fil-A owner-operator. And he told me recently that Chick-fil-A, which is a company that has revenues well in excess of $10 billion annually, is temporarily suspending all of their long-term planning. Instead, they're only looking at the next 30, 60, and 90 days with respect to their strategic planning. In other words, this virus is really impacting them, and it's impacting us as well. One very trusted national analyst projects a best-case scenario of a 5% revenue drop in biblical higher education and essentially all of higher education in our sector. And it could get as bad as 20% or more. And in many respects, it's understandable. Students are wondering, well, should I even take classes in this fall? Or maybe I should just sit this one out. Institutions around our country, especially in our sector, biblical higher education, are grappling with financial challenges. And many just won't be able to make it. The good news is we will. Now, saying that doesn't mean it will be easy. We have some of our own financial mountains to climb. We have some of our own problems to solve. But we also have some of our own opportunities to address. Now, speaking of opportunities, I want to share with you two distinct opportunities that we have, and they are very important. But before I share about these opportunities, I need to talk about three buckets. So if you would, picture with me three buckets. We're going to call bucket number one the tuition bucket, bucket number two the scholarship bucket, and bucket number three the capital expense bucket. So just for a moment, let's think about each of these buckets. First, the tuition bucket. And what we all need to understand is that tuition dollars only go into the tuition bucket. Tuition dollars are never placed in the scholarship bucket. Tuition dollars never go in the capital projects bucket. The second bucket is the scholarship bucket. Well, what goes into the scholarship bucket? Well, scholarship funds go there. So our scholarship fund is the fund that many of you support. Shannon and I, we support that as well. Now, the scholarship fund bucket provides help for students like Connor or those in the leadership class that Shannon and I had the opportunity to hang out with this Thursday. And the scholarship bucket helps in a couple of ways. First, it provides direct scholarships to those who need it the most. And second, it keeps tuition affordable for all of our students. Well, the third bucket is the capital projects bucket. And these are monies for projects such as the Charles Fry Academic Center or music rehearsal rooms or our athletic stadium. Now, I want to go back and talk about those two opportunities because the two opportunities relate to two distinct buckets. Opportunity number one is this. We have an opportunity to do something this month we have never done before. We have the opportunity to reach 75% of our scholarship fund goal. In other words, we get to fill up our scholarship fund bucket to the 75% level. And friends, we have never been at 75% of our goal by April 30th. It's a big number. It's $325,000. But just imagine what an impact that would make in the lives of students who are going through this coronavirus challenge. And many of them are wondering, should I come back to school? Can I even come back to school? Can I afford it? So I want you to think about that. And I would appreciate it if you would pray about giving an over and above gift to help us reach this 75% milestone. You say, how do I do it? You can write a check and mark it scholarship or put scholarship bucket on the memo line. Or you can go to lbc.edu/give and use our online tool. Now, the second opportunity is a real unique one as well. We're almost at the finish line on our capital funding goal for phase 2 of the Donald H. Funk Field. Now, as you know, the Donald H. Funk Field has an amazing artificial turf surface for our athletic teams, and it also provides a very unique revenue stream from community rentals. Now, phase 2 of that project is adding stadium seating and a beautiful facade to the outside of that stadium. Now, here's a video artist's conception of what that stadium looks like. And again, I just want you to imagine for a moment a prospective student athlete is driving onto the campus of LBC Capital, and his mom or dad are there in the car with him, and they see that stadium when they come onto our campus. What kind of an impact does that make? Or imagine the sense of encouragement and excitement it brings to our community when we have the opportunity to gather once again, and we can do it there at the stadium. Can you imagine when some of these social distancing guidelines are released and we get the opportunity to sit together in a packed stadium watching a soccer match in the fall or a lacrosse match in the spring? Wow. Now, we're committed to build this phase 2 once full funding is complete. Now, overall, this is a $2.1 million project. That's a lot of money. But the good news is we're only $455,000 shy of breaking ground. So what I'm asking you to do is this. Pray with us. Just pray with us. Pray the Lord of the harvest would raise up someone to get us to that groundbreaking place. Now, I know we look at that and we say $455,000. It's too much for me. But it's not too much for everyone. And there is that person out there that might be able to do it and would want to do it. So you pray that God would raise up that person so that we can stick a shovel in the ground, turn it over, and watch that facility go up. It would be amazing. Now, as I'm talking about all of this and a lot of projects, I realize that many of you are facing uncertainties and you're facing your own challenges. So my prayer for you is that the God of all peace would bring you comfort, that he'd bring you encouragement, that he would bring you, even in these days, this resilient joy that keeps you strong in him. Now, as we're praying for you, I'm going to ask you to pray the same for our students because it's tough times. Now, the COVID-19 crisis, that's an opportunity for all of us to demonstrate faith. To say with the psalmist, I keep my eyes always on the Lord, and with him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. And then the psalmist continues, therefore my heart is glad, and my tongue rejoices. And friends, we will rejoice. Now, speaking of rejoicing, I want you to know that we're still holding on to our hymn sing date planned for Sunday, May 17th. We're going to do it. It's going to be a virtual event, but we're going to do it. So I want to encourage you to invite a friend, and let's rejoice together at God's goodness, his greatness, and what he's doing in our lives. You're going to hear more about that in the days ahead. In the meantime, thanks for praying with us. Thanks for praying for us. We're looking forward to God being at work and watching him work in these days, but also seeing him work in the days ahead. And until that time, I look forward to seeing you May 17 at our virtual hymn sing. Hope to see you there.